Visiting a new city, and a huge, complex one like London, can be overwhelming. But don't worry, I'll make sure you have the trip that you've been dreaming of. Here's everything you need to know if you're visiting London in 2026 so you can feel extra smug at how prepared you are. By the way, I'm Jessica Dante, and I have been helping tourists like you to plan their trip to London for over 10 years now. And let's get started, because the first important thing to know will help you from feeling absolutely exhausted. London is absolutely massive. Sometimes this city feels so widespread that it's more like a region instead of just a city, but the majority of tourists do not realize before they come here just how spread out everything is in the city. So you definitely can't only walk to everything you want to see, which then leads me to, you can't see all of London in one day. Even if you only want to see the major sites, you're talking multiple days to hit the big ones. So you need to prepare for the fact that you will need to pick and choose from a very big, long list of amazing things to do in the city because you only have a certain amount of time here. And you definitely need to plan each day in little pockets of the city. Otherwise, you could end up spending a lot of time and energy getting on and off buses and tubes, trying to get to places all over the city. And that will be so tiring. I'm telling you. London has 6 airports and only one of them is actually in London. So you need to know which airport you're flying into because that will help you to plan your transportation to get to your hotel from the airport. And you need to make sure you know which one you are flying out of so you don't head to the wrong airport and miss your flight because none of them are near each other. So it's basically impossible to get from one to the other in time. And really, it's only London City that is in London, which honestly, most of you watching this are not going to be using London City Airport. Heathrow, which a lot of you will be using, is arguably inside London, but depends on who you ask. I think it's outside because it's really far. And all of the others are also not in London, but the good news is there are at least a couple of transport options for each airport, so you're gonna be fine. If you're flying in from outside of Europe, you will 99% of the time be flying into Heathrow or Gatwick Airport. And I actually have 2 very comprehensive video guides that explain every transport option you have for both of those airports. So after you watch this video, go watch whatever one you're gonna be using, whatever airport. But stay here, don't leave yet. I need you to get to the end. Then go watch it. Where you will stay will shape your trip. If you're really keen on staying next to the major sites of London, then have a look at areas like Westminster, Soho, and Covent Garden. But you should expect higher prices and a more touristy feel. If you would prefer local vibes, places with like good local restaurants, Notting Hill and Shoreditch are great areas to look at. They're still pretty central. You can get to a lot of the major sites fairly easily via the tube, but they're areas that like locals also actually live in and actually want to hang out in. So you'll find good restaurants, good cafes, and good bars. And they'll be ever so slightly cheaper than staying absolutely dead central. Ever so slightly, just a little. The main thing not to do though is to stay too far away from the center of the city, like on the outskirts. You might be tempted to do this if you find a really good deal on a hotel, but keep in mind that you're gonna spend a lot more of your time commuting in and out to the center of the city, to all of the things that you want to do and see. And if you do plan on having a night or two out in central London, the cost of the taxi back to your hotel might kind of negate any of the savings that you got from staying in that area. So make sure you weigh the pros and cons. Oh, also, I have a great video about some of the best areas to stay in when you are in London, which you can go watch after this video. There's a lot of videos to watch after this, so hope you're writing them down. Make a list. The next thing is something that when people message me saying they've done this, my heart literally sinks.
No, God, please, no, no!
But first, when you visit London, it's so easy to see the big landmarks like Buckingham Palace, Tower of London, Westminster Abbey, and be like, oh, that was nice. But without context, you miss out on all the stories, the quirky details, and the reasons why these places are so special. That's the difference between just seeing London and actually understanding it. And that's where Walks comes in. They run small group tours led by incredible guides, the types of people who have been studying up on London their entire lives. You'll hear stories not in the guidebooks, skip the lines at the major attractions, and even explore hidden spots that most tourists would walk straight past. They've got everything from early access Tower of London tours to walks where you'll have pints and pub grub in some of the oldest pubs in all of London. I love that tour. That's maybe my favorite of theirs. So if you want your trip to feel more meaningful and to go home with stories that most tourists never hear, check out Walks' London tours via the QR code popping up here or click the link down in the description box. The next important thing to know is do not rent a car in London. Like, guys, oh my God, why are we renting cars for London? Why are we doing this? There's virtually no parking. The traffic is terrible. It will cost you so much money. And we have so many other options that you can use. Obviously, we have the tube, which is fast and efficient and takes you many places. You can use one of our iconic London double-decker buses, which are sometimes slow, but they're really fun and can get you from A to B sometimes. And we also just have taxis. So if you don't want to take public transport, I would highly recommend taking taxi instead. So don't rent a car, please, please, please. Our currency is the Great British Pound. And please do not try to pay in any other currency in this city. You will get a very weird look if you're trying to pay with cash that comes from another country. But also, if you go somewhere in London and they go to charge your card and the machine asks you if you want to pay in your home currency or pounds, do not choose your home currency. Always choose pounds. And that's because in that conversion, if they do it in the machine, they completely rip you off. It's always better to let your bank do the currency conversion because they will give you the best-ish rate. And also, whatever establishment is doing that, get out because they are absolutely ripping tourists off, with no shame. You'll pay for almost everything by card. We are a massive card city here, to the point where some smaller places will not take cash, be for safety reasons and also the handling, and most market stalls will even accept card. So you should bring with you at least 1 or 2 debit or credit cards because you will for sure need them. And to be honest, you don't really need that much cash. If you do want to have some, I know some people want to tip their tour guides, which is optional, but definitely appreciated. Or maybe if you do take a black taxi from the airport to your hotel, then you can have some cash on you. That's fine. I never have cash, never. And I'm always fine. And please do not in the comments section be like, oh, but my debit card, my bank charges a fee every time that I use it. Guys, what are we doing? This is 2025, almost 2026. It is 2026 while you're watching this, probably. So many countries have so many other options for cards that you can use that won't charge you that fee. So especially if you're American, Google it. There's a million cards that will not charge you a fee. We shouldn't be traveling with fee cards. Or if you're from somewhere else, there's prepaid cards you can get from companies like TravelX, where you load up a bunch of money and then use that instead of getting all the dings on your own card. Also, if you do need cash while you're here, it's very easy to find cash points here. And in fact, you can usually find ones that are associated with banks, and those ones will never charge you a fee for withdrawing money. So try to find one of those if you can. They're honestly around most corners. London weather isn't as bad as you think. Yes, we do get drizzle, and about 29% of the days of the year will have some type of rain, but it's never as bad as it looks in TV shows and films. However, I would say that the winter can be as gray as they portray London. We do have pretty gray and dark winters, especially in February. It's the sun goes down at 4 and it only comes up around 8, so days feel so short. Summers can reach around 30 degrees Celsius or 86 Fahrenheit, and the winters can fluctuate below and above freezing. But to be honest, the weather here fluctuates so much, even day to day sometimes, that it's hard to really give you here's what you should expect at this time of year. So your best friend when you're planning is going to be looking at the forecast a couple of weeks before your trip and then watching it religiously as you're packing, about to go, so you know what to bring. And also bring layers, so you can always take things off or put them back on, and bring either an umbrella or a raincoat in case there's a day that's forecasted to rain. London is fairly dietary requirement friendly. Almost every restaurant will offer a gluten-free, vegetarian, and vegan option. I'm vegetarian. I eat extremely well in this city, like so well. If you have requirements beyond that, it's a little bit trickier, but a lot of places can accommodate you if you email them or call them up ahead of time, or if you put a note when you're booking your reservation online saying that there is an allergy to something. Of course, every restaurant has their menu online, so you can go and check that before you decide to go anywhere. That's best practice. And if you have one of our casual tourist guides or my London itinerary, each food recommendation I have in each of those guides has a little indicator to tell you if it's gluten-free friendly, vegetarian friendly, or vegan friendly. So have a look at those. Tip is usually included in your restaurant bill. When you are dining out in London, it's pretty standard for the optional service charge to be added to your bill automatically. So what you should do when you get your bill is have a look at it and see at the bottom if they have added an optional service charge. If they have done that, then you are good to go. You don't need to tip anything else on top of that. And to be honest, most places you're gonna go will probably already have that added. This is usually between 12.5% to, now it's kind of getting up to like 14.5%, 15%, just wild. If you go somewhere where they haven't done that, you can then leave 10 to 15% extra for your tip. You can of course leave this in cash, or you can ask for the server to add an additional amount of money onto your credit card charge when they have the machine there. Do keep in mind that any tip you give is not going to go only to the server. Everything is put into a big pot and is distributed to both back of house and front of house and absolutely everybody, so everyone gets a share of the tip. So if you give extra because it's a really good server, they aren't gonna get to keep it. It gets distributed to everyone. Also, service charge is always optional, so if you have really terrible service, you can ask for it to be removed. Now, do we do that? I've lived in the UK for 12 years. I think I've asked for it to be removed 3 times and I eat out a lot. So it's not common. However, if you had a really atrocious situation or experience, it's something you can do. Also keeping in mind the service is not as good here as in some other countries around the world. Yeah. You'll need an adapter for your electronics. So this is what the plugs look like here in the UK. They're 3-pronged. And if you are in a country where your plugs don't look like that, to be able to use your electronics and plug them in, you will need a travel adapter or a plug adapter. That's actually what it's called, not a travel adapter. I mean, you're traveling, so it kind of makes sense. These are easy to find. You can buy them online, at the airport, etc., etc. You also need to make sure that your device is dual voltage because depending on where you're from, the voltage there might be different from what it is here. However, most laptop chargers and phone chargers are dual voltage these days. It's more of like hair appliances that tend not to be. If they are not dual voltage, do not attempt to plug them in because you might ruin them and they might blow up. Speaking from experience. Also, even though the UK is in Europe, our plugs are different from what you find in the rest of Europe, which they look like those ones. So if you're moving on to other parts of Europe on your trip, you will need to get adapters for Europe as well. Cars drive on the left side. Yes, I think that's kind of obvious. I know a lot of people know this already. However, you do need to be careful when it comes to crossing the street. And thankfully, in this city, to help protect tourists, they write on the ground, literally, look left or look right, so you know which direction to look so you don't get hit by a car. I still look both ways. You never know. If you see these things, cars should stop for you. So these are called zebra crossings, or actually zebra crossings is how they say in the UK. And these are basically pedestrian crossings. And if you start to walk into one, in theory, the cars are supposed to stop for you by law. So this is a great place to actually cross a busy road. However, safety first, try to make eye contact with the drivers, make sure they're actually stopping before you fully go in. London is a safe city. I'm getting even more questions than usual about safety here because there are certain political parties recently that are using London for their propaganda and saying how unsafe and terrible of a city it is. First off, myself and my friends are in the city all day, every day, and everything works perfectly fine. I can count on my hands the amount of times I have felt unsafe in this city, and I have been here over a decade. Second of all, millions of tourists like you are in this city every week and don't have any problems. And the areas that tourists go to, which is very central, very busy, very well lit, lots of police presence, like there's never any problems. There's really absolutely no reason to be afraid of anything in those areas. That being said, I do appreciate that I am a white person saying this. However, this city is made up of minorities and foreigners. So for the most part, if you are a minority, you should feel pretty comfortable here, barring a few, to be frank, non-Londoners that might come in and cause some trouble. I know it's been on the news a lot lately, but you will generally be completely fine. That being said, keep an eye on your valuables. This is a major metropolitan city, which means there are people who do have sticky fingers here. So you do need to be really careful with your valuables when you're out and about in London. Make sure that you only bring out really what you need. Don't have your passport with you, don't have all of your credit cards, leave some of them locked away in your hotel safe so that they stay there in case anything happens and you have backups. Anything you have with you should always be in a secure pocket, so anything you can zip up is great. And do not leave anything in any of your back pockets. Always put it in your front pocket, because back pocket is easy to just pull it out. And we do have a bit of a problem here of if people are like using their phone while they're walking and not paying attention, that like a bike comes up next to them and snatches their phone out of their hand. Hasn't happened to me, but it can happen. You just need to be careful. I actually explain how to avoid things like that and basically anything else in my video about how to not get robbed when you're in London. So go have a watch of that after this. I've never been robbed, so I'm a trustworthy source on that. The drinking age here is 18. Or 16 if you're with an adult and eating a meal. So Americans, have fun with that. I remember having so much fun with that when I came here during study abroad at the ripe age of 20. Many a pint were had. By the way, I see a lot of my followers wasting a lot of their money on their London accommodation because they didn't know about some really important things to do and to look at before you book something. So I go through all of that in my video about mistakes not to make before you book your London accommodation, and you can watch that by clicking the box that's popping up here. See you in the next video.